How can you hear what your intuition is telling you and learn to trust that voice? That's what we're talking about today. I got this great question from one of our new community members asking about how to hear what your intuition wants to tell you. And there are a few different layers to this, but I invite you to look at this like you're building a relationship, because you are. You're building a relationship with yourself and your internal guidance system. So it takes some practice, it takes some listening, and it takes some learning how to discern what your intuition's voice sounds like and feels like. And I made a video not long ago about how to tell the difference between intuition and fear, and I'll link that here or here and in the pinned comment down below. So I invite you to check that out after you check this out. But long story short, your intuition will give you a calm, neutral knowing. And it's often that first bit of information, that first bit of inspiration, that first thought, that first nudge that comes before the mind can kick in and get into overthinking or giving meaning to something or something like that. And I like to call the intuition the still small voice within. Your intuition is really your connection with your true self. And it takes time to learn how to listen to the voice of your true self, of your intuition. So I'll walk you through some steps on how to connect with your intuition, how to listen to what it's telling you, starting with just simple things. And then you can work on just building that relationship, learning your intuition's language and how it speaks to you. And then you can work your way up to bigger things and more practice. So to hear your intuition, we've got to start with just creating space for stillness, whether that's nature walk, journaling, meditation, or even just sitting in silence. Your intuition whispers. It doesn't always shout. And so the more still and the more calm we can be, the more we can actually hear our intuition. And the more you practice being present here in the moment, the clearer your intuitive messages will become. And intuition often will speak through the body before it speaks through the mind. So learning to reconnect with your body and how your body speaks to you will really help you tap into your intuition. But this is also where it's important to understand the difference between the feeling you get from your intuition and the feeling that you get from fear, okay? So intuition, or something that is true, will often feel like expansion, warmth, like a green light, like it's safe to go in that direction. Whereas if it's fear, you'll feel it in your body as a constriction. You might get heart palpitations, tightness, heaviness. You might feel agitated. And if you're feeling those things, that's an invitation to pause and just check in. So pay attention to these physical cues as guidance. Intuition can also show up as repetitive dreams, thoughts, synchronicities, or random ideas that keep resurfacing. So I highly recommend keeping a journal of the synchronicities and the patterns that you're noticing in your life, because those are often clues that your intuition is leaving you about shifts and changes that can happen, a direction that you're meant to go in, or something that you're meant to create. And like I said, intuition is usually calm, clear, and direct. Your intuition doesn't justify itself with stories. It just is. So if it feels pushy or anxious or like it's grasping for control, that's usually a sign that your ego or fear has taken over. And again, the invitation is to stop, slow down, check in inside yourself again. and wait for the calm, neutral knowing. And this reminds me of a meditation practice, visualization practice that actually really helped me to get more in touch with my intuition. And I can't remember where I got this from. I will cite the source once it comes back into my mind. But it's the image of being kind of underwater. So on the surface of the water, there are these waves, right? It's constantly moving with the wind and with the things that swim through it. It's constantly in motion, right? This is your constant train of thought. But if you can sink your consciousness down, imagine yourself just floating down beneath that constant train of thought, down, 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 into the calm stillness underneath the waves. This is the space where you can hear your intuition a little bit better. Your thoughts are still happening. That train of thought's still happening up here on the surface, but down below the surface is where the wisdom lies. That's where you can get in touch with your intuition. And I can make a meditation to kind of guide you through that process. But even just speaking about it right now, I felt my whole energy just go whoosh and come even more into presence and calm. This is how we can get in touch with our intuition. With your intuition, I encourage you to just practice with little things. Asking yourself a question like, what do I need to know right now? And trusting that first thing that comes up without making meaning or giving it stories or overthinking, just that first thing that comes up. Maybe the first thing that comes up is you're dehydrated and you need some water. Maybe that's the first thing that you do actually need to know right now, because when you're hydrated, it actually calms your body down, puts you in a bit more of a safe space. And when you're well hydrated, you are well conducive to energy, downloads, and more intuitive hits. So it might seem like something so small and trivial, like drinking some water, which isn't trivial at all, because water has the most important function. It is life. But just with little things like that. You can also work with just listening to how your body responds to things. So you can start with your name. Start with that truth, because you know exactly what your name is, right? So close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And say out loud, my name is, and insert your name. See how it feels in your body when you speak that truth. You might notice an expansion in the chest. You might notice your shoulders come down, because this is the truth. Now, if you do the same thing and say, my name is Steve, if your name's not Steve, see how your body reacts to that. For me, I feel a constriction in my chest and in my stomach area. It's very slight, but it's still there. And that's when I know that that's not true. This is how you can start to listen to your body's language. And it's instantaneous. Your being knows what is true and what is not. But so often we'll get that initial hit and then we'll explain it away. We'll talk ourselves out of it because maybe we don't want to believe that. It's so easy to do. But the more that you learn to trust that initial hit that is calm and clear and neutral, and act on it or believe it, the more you are building this relationship with your own intuition. And you can practice it with everyday decisions, like even what you want to eat. I've found one that's really interesting is to test with certain foods and just hold it in your hand and see how your body reacts. So sometimes I'll feel like I want to consume something, but when I hold it, my body kind of just slightly moves back away from the thing. I'm like, okay, we're not doing that today. But you could pick the same thing up tomorrow and your body's like, yes, please. It depends on the situation. But you can do that. Start with food or clothing or just little things like that and see how your body reacts. You might feel just the slightest pull forward. And for me personally, that's a yes. Little pull backward, that's a no. And you can start to pick up on the little subtle cues that your intuition uses your body to speak to you with. It's really fascinating stuff. Think about your intuition as your inner friend, your inner compass. But I like inner friend because your intuition is very much alive and dynamic. And the more you interact with it, and the more you learn, listen, learn, communicate, just like any kind of relationship that you're building, the stronger it will get. And the more that you'll recognize your intuitive messages, and the more clear that they will become for you. So I would love to hear from you if you try these things out and what you're learning about yourself and your intuition. Okay, and don't forget to check out the video also about the difference between intuition and fear. And I hope that this video serves and helps. I'm sending you all so much love, and I'll talk to you soon.